It's just a matter of time before you go to the wild. Some of us go to the wilderness multiple times in life. Sometimes we're led there to be trained, and sometimes we're there because of the choices that we made. Regardless, you don't want to get lost in the wilderness. We're going to have two different situations and scenarios today. Which one applies to you? Why are you in the wild? It took me a minute to admit this. I wasn't in a hard place because God let me there. I was there because I made some bad choices. That's a tough pill to swallow. Um, so yeah, it's not wilderness testing, it's wilderness consequences. And if that's you right now, feeling like you had to run, feeling like you had to hide, feeling like you had to start over because of what you did, you're not alone. You're actually in the same boat as Moses. Moses had identity crisis. He was raised in royalty, but he saw his people suffering and he thought, I need to do something. Now that part isn't wrong, but how he did it, he took matters into his own hands and he killed a man. I felt that, wanting to relate, but going about it in the wrong way, trying to fit in instead of standing firm, forgetting every person matters to God. I can't just hide my sin. God's way is greater than my way. And when we ignore that, we end up running just like Moses did. Let's be real. Let's keep it a buck. Not every hard season is God is testing me. Sometimes it's I put myself here. But here's the hope. God still met Moses in the wilderness. Failure didn't cancel his calling. Running didn't remove his purpose, and it won't for you either. So stop lying to yourself. Own it. Own it. And then let God meet you there in the wilderness. Generation Z, millennials, the revival is here. People are waking up like, wait, Jesus, that dude is actually real? And he actually died on the cross and rose from the dead? Yeah, that part. I love it. I love it. But let me remind you of something that nobody talks about. When you start going public with your faith, when you decide I'm going to live for God, when you stop playing and you start walking it out, don't be surprised when life gets wild. And I was reminded about this when I was reading Matthew chapter 4, because right after Jesus got revealed in glory, right after heaven affirmed him, he was led straight into the wilderness. Not punished, prepared. Yeah, temptation definitely came, but so did training. And it's the same for you. Jesus faced these moments, and you'll face moments like this too. Need versus want. Jesus had 40 days of not eating. Most people will say, I need to eat. But what we see with Jesus is your spiritual well-being is always greater than your physical well-being. And when the enemy was like, turn these stones into bread, he was like, nah. And even if something is a good desire, if we go about it the wrong way and it goes against God's will, it's wrong. Identity test. You better believe that the temptation is going to challenge your identity. He did this with Jesus and said, are you really the Son of God? Just imagine the things he's going to ask us. Are we really fill in the blank? Platform versus presence. Am I trying to build my name or am I trying to honor God's name? That is something that the enemy tested Jesus with, and he'll test us with too. We got to read the fine print because not everything that elevates us is from God. If God is not number one, you're mixing something. So what do? Stay in the word. You need to know the word. Jesus constantly quoted the word. And when you think about this, Jesus didn't argue with temptation. He answered with truth. He answered with the word, the Bible. You have to know who you are. Not what culture says, but what Christ says. Tell the enemy to go. Tell him to get the step in. Like, you actually have the authority to do this. Don't flirt with temptation. Run from it. This is a huge one. Worship anyway. Worship anyway. Even when it's hard, even when it sucks, worship, and worship hard. Because the wilderness is not where you lose. The wilderness is where you can become dangerous and learn how to fight against spiritual warfare.